Welcome to Golden Chat, where we provide straight talk. Each week, we deliver the best insights on assisted living facilities. I'm your host, Stella, with your co host, Pedro and Lena.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing, everyone?
So today we are going to just get straight to the topic on Golden Chat, which is why utilize an investor versus a financial institution. So I wanted to throw that question out to Stella. Stella, what do you think the pros and cons are versus an investor and a private an investor and a lender?
Um, the thing is, if you're an operator and you start your first operation, then an investor might be the best option for you because a lender is going to ask you for to have a great credit score, have you to look at your last bank statement, and they're going to ask you a lot of questions. They have like a set of prerequisites that you have to meet because at the end of the day, they need their money back. So they have a way for them to look at it. It's paper intensive, and it's not based so much on what your business can do. It's based on how well they can recover the money from you. The investor, on the other hand, is looking to make money and is looking for something he can believe in, like real estate. They know real estate is most of the time a winner if it's well chosen, and then you can justify the rent that you can give. So they're more looking at the property itself, and they're still looking at you, but more in your ability to be able to pay the rent. So not in the same manner of they know if you're doing an assisted living facility, then most likely you're going to earn money, you're going to be able to pay them. And what they're looking for is to make sure that you're never going to vacate. So for them, it's like a golden, it's like a golden tenant because you're
Yeah.
always going to be there for a long time. You're going to take care of the property. So for them, it's great. So that will be the pros and cons. Now, if you're an experienced operator, um, there's different ways for you to work with lenders. And because you can show that you have more than 2 years of experience, that you know how to run a facility and that you run it successfully, and you can have proof. So
Mhm.
basically you can supply anything they need and they may give you the best rate. So the pros and cons is depending on where you are in your journey. To start with, you may want to have an investor because the entry barrier could be lowered. Now,
Mhm.
if you, as you go and become more experienced, the lenders may have better rates, better deals for you than an investor because they can afford it. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so very true because in my instance, this was a brand new business. It was non-existing. So to actually have my investors invest in my vision and know that they felt like it was a win-win situation because at the end of the day, when we're buying a four-bedroom, two-bedroom house, two-bath house in a appreciating market, then they were very secure with that part of the investment, as well as you talking about the rent. The rent was discussed, and paying a bit above market value. So this isn't just a basic residential rental. Now it's a commercial rental, so they're making more as and then also depending on how much do they want to be involved. Are they trying to be part of the operation as well? So they're expecting more on the return. So it is a really good stable investment for the investor. So sometimes it's easier to find that investor that understands the business versus going through all the incredible journey of the paperwork, which is crazy with the
And
lenders.
and Pedro, you can talk about that. Can you just tell to our listeners, tell your your story with the bank
Sorry.
when you
Wow.
started?
Right. Well, yeah. With the banks, you're right. You mentioned about the prerequisites. There's some prerequisites that you're definitely going to have to come to the table with. The score, debt to income ratio. They want to know your experience. But what you learn is that sometimes you yourself can become your own investor. You have to liquidate. In my case, I liquidated a 401k, which allowed me to have the funds to start. So I guess what I've heard people say skin in the game. So you have the skin in the game. Uh, that'll put you in a position where you can then possibly, go to a financial institution and get a loan after the fact. However, it's not as easy as individuals have made it sound. I didn't know what a business plan. What I mean, I googled business plans, and if you Google it, you're going to see that business plans can be somewhere between 1 to 5 to 1 to 500 pages. So which one is the one for you via your business, right? So that was an area that I wasn't familiar with. So at the end of the day, what ended it worked for me was the liquidation process. If you don't have that, I'm definitely going to say still go with the bank and try. Let them tell you no, because if they tell you no, then you know what you need to fix. If they tell you yes, then you've succeeded ultimately in what you needed.
Yeah, and I'm going to say for the lender, and you're right, you still have to give it a go, but I would say prepare. So
Definitely.
preparation is key
Mhm.
because that's what they want to see. They want to see that it was a thought after idea that you add,
Right.
and not just like a spur of the moment, and then you just came and asked them whether they could provide for you. One thing I like about what you said is your own investor. Sometimes we don't realize that we can start and we can find creative ways
Correct.
to actually be on the road. We always looking at outside sources, and you made a valid, very crucial point: is what can you do? And I'm going to say something crazy.
Okay.
Let's say you have two cars. You could sell a car and use that money to start the funding. There's many ways that we don't think about because we want to have outside resources, but anything you could sell to get you going as an
Right.
operator, I would say first be your own investor, and then I'm going to say think about partnering as Lana did with her family. Think about family members, like people wherever they are, that could help. Definitely I would say that. Now I would say think about something as well, because when we ask lenders versus investors, what do we want them to invest in? And that's
Correct.
the thing. You may have already funds set aside for the operations, but we don't. You don't have funds for the real estate. So that will depend. And if you buy a secondary home as a real estate, just like as a home, you may find that the lender could be great because they're not looking at your house as an assisted living facility, but a secondary home. Or it could be your primary home, depending what kind of license you have. So
Right.
there's many ways for people to navigate and to find their own, whatever is going to work for them.
Creative financing.
Yeah.
That's an important piece.
And I'd like to make a point about the lender. Obviously pros and cons to everything. But when I spoke to one of the local banks about SBA loans, the one thing that they did state is the banks want a good portfolio. So they just don't want to invest and have loans in restaurants and retail stores and malls. They know the assisted living facility is a really good business. So if you bring in a very great business proposal and you're very well prepared, it could be, very beneficial at that time if you have the finances to go through a lender.
I like what they told you. At the same time, it's a partial information because a lot of SBA lenders will tell you that they're happy to lend the money, but operators don't go all the way through after, because it's a tough business, and you guys know it. So after 2 years, some people give up. So it's not so much whether they can uh, give you the money to start, but whether you can yourself be a good partner and go all the way through. And maybe if you say 5 years, go up to 5 years, because basically you're setting the precedence for other people behind you or your next one. So it's working with them. Your best option is whoever you can work with and whoever you can work the longest as well, because they want that kind of commitment from you.
You got to finish the race. You got to finish the race.
You
And
have to.
that's a good point about partnership, because next week on Golden Chat, we're going to discuss how do you find a specific investor or operator to partner with you.
All right. You can find everything that we talked about today on at easierlivingforyou.com. You can call us at 407-794-7277 or email us at hello@easierlivingforyou.com.
So I guess we all see you next week,
Yep.
Tuesday at 12:45.
Thank
See you
you
next
for tuning
week.
in.
All right. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned.
Have a great week.
Bye
Bye.
bye.